Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here. Today I've got a story time for y'all I think you're gonna really enjoy about this dude who managed to get rich in homeroom and then freak out in a way that, ended up being worth making into a story time. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, and, yeah, let's go.
I'm getting quiet now. Lay low when you reach zone, piping down. Making albums take the break.
Alright, so like I said, this is a subscriber story that was sent in to me, and I want to open it off by saying I would not recommend doing any of this, alright? I would call all of this a very bad idea. That being said, anytime someone freaks out because of their bad idea, it can be a little bit entertaining, especially when it's something that ends up reversing a ginormous W right after it occurs, alright? So, yeah, the person who sent this in to me still has homeroom. I actually didn't have it, but basically from what they explained, it's like this hour at the start of the school day where you can kind of work on homework projects, like an hour to just work on stuff. That's the best way I can say it from what you explained. So obviously it tends to be that it's the class that people goof off in the most, you know, because there really isn't assignments to do. It's just whatever you feel like doing, and if you're in a class with anyone that you're friends with, usually what you feel like doing is just not paying attention and goofing off. And for whatever reason, the person who sent this into me sits next to was someone that was always trying some weird way to get rich, get the bag very quickly, and very often these get rich quick schemes didn't work because they were always centered around him being insanely lucky, not about him like starting a business or hard work. You know, it was always just kind of hoping for an absolute miracle to turn like $2 into $1 million. He was aiming way more for luck over effort, but regardless, the person who sent this to me was entertained by like the weird get rich quick schemes they would hear. Regardless, one day the subscriber came into homeroom and sat down, and immediately this dude obsessed with getting the bag starts throwing this speech at him about how he came up with an idea to grow his money really fast, and how, he had just cracked the code for being able to turn small amounts of money into large amounts of money, which, listen, if you've cracked the code for it, good for you. You're gonna have yourself a very fun existence. Chances are you're gonna be sipping on caviar quite often. I don't even know if you sip on it, but regardless, if you really figured out a way to like make a bunch of money, good for you. He said he had found this online gaming place where you could take money and bet money on a game, and then if the money that you put down on the game was right, it paid you more money. And he's explaining this like there's not a name for this, right? And the person who sent this to me is listening to it, and they're like, wait, so basically you're betting money on what happens? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, so it's a casino? And he has a laptop in front of him, and he's like, I don't know, take a look. A lot of kids in the school had laptops on them to like keep track of assignments and work on stuff because they're in hybrid school. So when they're working at home, they need their laptop, and obviously if you're like halfway done with the project on your laptop, you're just gonna bring it to school. But sure enough, he flips around his laptop, and he's literally showing an online casino to the person who sent this to me. And listen, that's not a way to get rich, dude. I'm not gonna say I hate gambling, because to each their own. I personally think it's dumb. I don't really like to gamble. Obviously, I've just been around it a lot. I'm from Las Vegas. If you want to gamble, that's on you. If you feel like it, hey, I'm not gonna tell you anything. You guys can make your own choices. All I'm gonna say about it is, like I said, I live in Las Vegas. If gambling was good for customers and a great way to make money, I don't know why all these companies keep building billion-dollar buildings and having record profits. You think they'd start losing money at some point. Plus, not to mention, I'm really sure that it's illegal to gamble if you're not an adult. Like, even if you're 18, you're still not allowed to gamble. You gotta be 21. So I don't know how this dude has managed to find some sketchy online casino to sign up for, but I can certainly tell you that gambling is not the magic way to quadruple your money. I mean, sure, if you own a casino, maybe it's a magic way to quadruple your money, but I don't think gambling is a consistent way to make money. I think it's literally called gambling for a reason. Anyways, the person who sent this to me has a question about hey man, I'm not really sure that this is legal. He kind of says that off rip, and the kid turns red, and he's like, well, I signed up with my dad's name and then told him I needed a picture of his ID for school and sent it in, which is a horrible idea, because now, not only are you gambling, which is a bad idea, but you made an account with your parents' name that they don't know about. That's a very horrible idea. You should never do that. It doesn't make it magically okay now that you just fraudulently made an account with your dad's name, But he goes on about how he has this plan to get rich, and he's gonna do it through this casino. And the person who sent this to me starts trying to tell him that okay, this is probably a really bad idea. You do realize that with gambling, you can lose all your money. You know, you're not taking out debt to gamble or anything, right? And he's like, no, no, no. And he's like, all right, well, what are you going to do if you lose the money? And he's like, I haven't thought about that because I don't plan on losing the money, which to me is a very stupid thing if you're going to be like gambling at all, right? I don't think anyone goes into the casino planning on losing their money. Everybody goes in planning on winning. It'd be really weird if people flew into Las Vegas like, hey, I'm going to blow my mortgage this weekend. I don't think anyone does that. Everyone thinks they're going to win, but regardless, you got to think about what would happen if you did lose because it's gambling and there's a pretty good chance that you're going to lose. But, you know, his response to that is like, well, I think I'm going to win, so I'm not going to think about losing, as if that just magically makes the risk of losing disappear. Like, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can't lose anymore. True. Anyways, he tries to warn him, you know, and he's just not listening to it. And he shows that he had taken this like $500 that he had saved between birthday and Christmas and had put it all into this online casino, and he was going to get rich with it. And so he tries one more time just to be like, hey, this is a really bad idea. You shouldn't do this. Trust me, you're going to regret it. Your money's going to disappear. And like everything he's saying is just not computing. You know, it was like he had tuned his ears to just not listening to any good advice mode. He literally cuts him off during his advice and says, listen, bro, do you want to watch me gamble or do you want to be my mom? Just shut up. All right. Like nobody cares. I'm going to do it. And at that point, he's like, all right, well, I tried to warn you. This is a horrible idea. I guess I'll watch because, you know, it is definitely going to be entertaining. I don't know if it's going to be for the reasons that you want it to be, but it definitely will be entertaining. That's for sure. So, all right, go for it. And I feel like at this point, it's not really on him. Like if he's literally tried to warn him multiple times, you tell him to shut up. Okay, all right. Anyways, the kid starts to look through all these different online games. There was like a couple ones in the casino, and he decides that, you know, roulette is just the way that he's going to get insanely rich. Listen, I'm not a gambling expert. You know, all gambling is luck-based. That's why it's called gambling. But roulette is like the extra luck mode, you know? It's just probably one of the worst ways to like get a chance at growing your money that's not just insanely based on luck. But regardless, this guy being just not a gambling expert like any of us, none of us are, decided that he was just going to go to roulette and bet all $500 on green, which, you know, in theory, if it lands on green, would make a lot of money. It's like 32 times the amount. So he would get what? If he bet $500 on green, if it lands on green, $16,000. Obviously, that's not a shabby chunk of change, pretty good payout. But he just decides to risk it all on that. If it doesn't land on green, he loses all of his money. So whatever, he goes all in, places $500 on green, and everyone around him is like, why did you go all in? Why did you go on green? Like, that's a horrible idea. And he starts to tell everybody to like, shut up. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. Like, you guys are all gonna look stupid in a second. You know, just being super confident about the fact that like, you guys are dumb and I'm gonna just look like a genius. Give it a second. So sure enough, it starts to spin and it lands on green, right? He literally stands up screaming, and I'm not gonna lie, I probably would too. He had just turned $500 into 16 grand, said he had a plan, knew it was gonna happen. Like, he just felt like an absolute G. And obviously everyone around him is flabbergasted because that's insanely unlikely. Like, do not gamble, you know, once again, I don't recommend this. That being said, the odds of that happening are what, like 1 in 35, 1 in 32, something like that. Very low odds that that is going to happen, you know, and anytime it does happen, it's a big deal. And obviously at that point, if you just turn $500 into 16,000, you should just walk away. Just walk away. Take the money and leave. You're already insanely lucky that it landed on green when you bet it there. That's like lottery level luck. But, you know, the teacher kind of goes back and forth with him for a bit because he had been really loud, and he sits back down, and they can tell that he's thinking, and they're like, dude, no, come on, don't keep gambling. Like, just take the money, right? Just take the money. Everyone is saying, don't do it, take the money. And so when he sits down from the teacher yelling at him and everyone starts to give him advice, he's like, shh, shh, everyone be quiet. I'm going to do it again. And literally everyone, even the people that don't know how to gamble very well, are just like, what are you talking about, bro? That's a horrible idea. You definitely shouldn't gamble again. You just turned $500 into 16 grand. You shouldn't gamble anymore. Just take it. What are you doing? Obviously, when you're up big at the casino, the key is to walk away. And this is how they get you, right? You know, the house always wins is a saying for a reason, but he says he's going to do it. He opens his calculator app on the laptop and he's like, well, if $500 turned into 16,000, then if I bet 16,000, it would turn into 512,000, which sure, I mean, theoretically is correct. That is the math that if it happened, but you're talking about back-to-back green in roulette. You know, it's rare enough to happen once. It's rare enough for the same number to be hit at all, period. So like the twice in a row, that's just not gonna happen. The odds of any number hitting twice in a row, green or not, is like 1 in 1,369. 1 out of 35 is luck already. You just 32 extra money, that's huge. But obviously it's a horrible idea to just make the exact same gamble again, because the odds of something very rare happening twice in a row is even more rare. You know, it doesn't take an expert to realize that that's probably a good way to lose all $16,000, especially when you're up big. There's just no reason to double down. I feel like anyone that's ever made money from gambling always says that the key is to walk away when you're up, you know? Once again, I'm not an expert, but like I feel like it's always a saying, if you're up huge, you should leave because it's gambling, and if you don't, you're gonna just slowly lose money. If you just keep playing and playing and playing games that require luck after you got lucky, you're probably not going to be as lucky as you just were. You know, and literally everyone is lecturing him, telling him, please don't do that, that's a horrible idea, like you're gonna regret it, you know. And I agree, that is a horrible idea. Just take the $16,000. That's an absolute crap ton of money, especially when it was 530 seconds ago. But nope, apparently he just looked around at everyone and just decided that they were being stupid. And he said, listen, 16,000's a lot of money, but I'm not here for $16,000. I'm here to get rich, baby. And sure enough, just ignored everybody and went ahead and did it. So yeah, he goes ahead and places the bet, all $16,000 down on green again. Keep in mind the way roulette works, if it doesn't land on green again, like he loses literally all the money. You know, you think he'd at least be like, oh, $500 on green again, a 32 grand. No, you didn't, you just bet all of it. Sure enough, it starts to spin and it doesn't land on green, and literally everybody just goes like, because they realize that he had just lost 16 grand. But the kid gambling himself just hasn't reacted yet. He's just kind of staring at his laptop for a second, and then he very calmly goes up and like refreshes the page to look at the balance, and sure enough, you know, the balance is at zero. Like it's gone. Trust me, I don't think the casino's gonna miscalculate and accidentally give you back all that money, pal. I feel like people lose enough money at the MGM. I would not trust some like online casino. You know, I know nothing about what it is. I'm just saying in general, like people lose money at very reputable businesses. Some shady online casino letting you gamble with just, you know, a random name probably is not doing the most like ethical things behind. Anyways, once he realizes that his balance is actually at zero and he's lost all of his money, he starts to like breathe really heavily and turn red, and somebody just decides to ask if he's okay, and that's when he snaps. Because no, you know, he was not okay. It was obviously not a very fun situation to be in, and he starts screaming, do you think I'm okay? I just lost $16,000, you moron. And then he picks up his laptop and like lifts it above his head, you know, just all the way up there like a basketball player going for the block, and then just slams it down onto the ground like an absolute slam dunk. And obviously it makes a huge crash. You can hear stuff breaking on it because believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, here's your fact of the day. Electronics don't like to be thrown. You know, laptops don't enjoy being lifted up 6 feet into the air and then slammed onto the ground. Obviously it ends up breaking the laptop, and at that point the ruckus is so large the teacher just can't ignore it. Like there's just so much noise going on, so she looks up and yells, what's going on? And you know, because she had already had to yell at him earlier when he freaked out about winning it, she wasn't exactly having a bunch of patience. So she gets up and like he's just ignoring her, not saying anything, just kind of looking at the broken laptop. And so she repeats herself. She's like, what's going on? Like, what is wrong? And the kid is just angry at that point and probably embarrassed. I mean, I would be, dude. You just rage freak out and destroyed your laptop in front of everybody. Chances are people are going to be making fun of you for that one. But for some reason, he's so angry, he decides to start screaming at the teacher, which, you know, I don't really agree with, because the teacher had nothing to do with you deciding to lose all the money that you just won. She's just asking why you're smashing your laptop in the middle of class, which is a pretty reasonable question, you know? You shouldn't scream at her. It's not your fault that you gambled like an idiot. But regardless, he starts screaming at her that he had lost $16,000 and that's why he's upset, and she should probably mind her business, which it's probably hard to do with you yelling, dude. I mean, when you start smashing your laptop in class, you are kind of making it everybody's business. What, did you just expect everybody around you to pretend like nothing was going on? You're just over here like a bull in a china shop, Best Buy edition, just smashing monitors, laptops, whatever you can get your hands on. Why are people looking at me? Anyways, the teacher snaps back at him and she's like, well, you shouldn't be gambling in the first place, and I would mind my business, but you're breaking your laptop and screaming like a child, which makes it impossible to ignore. Like, you're acting insane. You do do realize that you shouldn't be gambling in the first place, and even if you are, like, you are literally freaking out, destroying stuff in the middle of class. Everyone's gonna hear it. Everyone's gonna be paying attention. You're making it everybody's problem. You know, I can't mind my business. And at that point, the shame of losing money and getting roasted by the teacher just hits him at once, and it makes him very upset. So he starts picking up the laptop and smashing it onto the ground harder, which, you know, I don't really know what that was supposed to do. Like, hey, man, I'm not the one making the decision. I don't know why he decided to just keep smashing his laptop. The teacher roasts you and says that you're acting insane, and you're like, I'll show him. You just go back to smashing the laptop. Like, I don't think you understood the point, man. She was kind of saying that's the behavior that makes him think that there's something wrong. The money is still gone. If anything, your birthday money is gone too, so you should be more careful about breaking your laptop. Like, you just lost all the money that you had and you're gonna break the expensive object? I don't know, man. I wouldn't say that's a great move. Laptops aren't cheap, especially when you're now $16,000 poorer than you were 30 seconds ago and way broker than you were for saving all that money. Anyways, he's just kind of smashing his laptop, and at that point, the teacher has had enough, and she tells him to get out of the class and go to the principal's office. And, you know, I'll admit that this is more cringe than anything now. Like, it's just like, yeah, you gotta go, bro. Like, she really didn't have a choice. Smashing the laptop, screaming, it's pretty cringe. You just gotta go to the principal's office. But he screams back fine and, like, starts to gather his things. He obviously knows that he's not coming back to the class, so he's like, I'll just take my stuff with me, you know? And the teacher's like, all right, fine, get your stuff, whatever. Just stop screaming and go to the principal's office at some point. And he picks up his laptop and he goes to fold it, and it just, like, won't fold. The way that he had thrown it on the ground had smashed the corner in on itself, so it, like, was prevented from folding, you know? But literally everybody's staring at him, and the teacher's like, what are you doing? And so he just kind of takes both hands and just pushes it closed. And when he pushes it, it literally just kind of, like, cracks and just as he closes it even more, you know? Which, obviously, it was already broken. Like, if you start throwing something on the ground over and over again, chances are it's not going to be doing very well. But either way, just seeing somebody just force a laptop closed and, like, hearing the electronics cracking and crunching would just make about anyone cringe, you know? But he folds it up and, like, calmly puts it in his backpack, and he's acting like he didn't hear it, which makes it even funnier, you know? Like, if he would have been like, great, that sucks, people probably would have laughed a bit, but he really just slammed it closed, forced it closed, heard all that cracking, and then put it in the backpack and just stormed out. And this is where I got really confused, all right? He actually went to the principal's office and told them everything because he thought they were going to be able to get his money back. Like, dude, at that point, you could have gone there, said something pissed you off, you smashed the laptop, you shouldn't have done it, right? No, you just admitted to the fact that you were, like, gambling in class. Of course you're going to get in a crap ton of trouble for that. That's not allowed. And on top of it, he admits that, like, he took his dad's ID, made the account, like, the entire thing. So obviously they call his parents. He ends up getting suspended because, duh, like, of course. And he ends up getting in so much trouble that, like, his parents take away all of his electronics, which, you know, is not a bad punishment. If anything, I feel like he got off light. I mean, let's be honest. This is basically like a fraud, identity theft, and gambling all in one. He really hit a trifecta with this baby. I feel like taking away his iPhone is the most, like, slap on the wrist punishment possible. They're like, we know you stole your father's identity to make an account at a casino, but okay, you can't text your friends for a week, all right? Like, it's okay. Anyways, pretty quickly, word got around the school, though, and everybody would just kind of give this guy crap for managing to blow $16,000 for trying to gamble it right after he won it. And, you know, they would be like, oh, how's your day? And if he was like, meh, it's not that great, would they be like, oh, do you have 16,000 reasons to be upset? Which, listen, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that bad. For, like, what you did, people are obviously going to give you a little bit of crap. You know, someone making a joke about 16,000 reasons to be upset. Yeah, it's annoying, sure. But like I said, obviously people are going to give you crap when you do something stupid in front of them. You really can't be surprised when they're like, they're stupid. I feel like in this situation, the best reaction is no reaction. But this dude, every time somebody would bring it up, would, like, literally freak out, man. Like, give everybody the reaction that they were obviously going for. Didn't do himself any favors by any time somebody mentions the fact that he had gambled all this money in homeroom, like, basically trying to fight them, you know? Literally, every time somebody would mention it at all, he would take off his backpack and start screaming at them, being like, do you want to go? Do you want to go? Which, you know, I'm not saying people should have been saying it. Like, they should have just let it go. Okay, the mature thing would have been like, wow, he's learned his lesson, we'll drop it. But obviously, people are going to make fun of you for it. Like, you can't be surprised when people do mention it, you know? And when you're gonna fight everybody that mentions it, if anything, that just makes it worse, dude. Like, people are just going to do it more just to mess with you at that point. You can't freak out and try to fight everyone everyone for mentioning the gambling you did in front of everyone at school to try to flex, and then expect them not to give you more crap for it. If anything, the fact that you're always like, I will use Eye of the Tiger Karate on you every time somebody says anything is gonna make people say things quite more often. Like, people are gonna give you crap for that all the time just to see you freak out. Either way, though, I guess if you didn't get in trouble, your mom and dad took away the iPhone for a week, people making fun of you is kind of punishment. I don't know, I guess. Like, people should leave them alone, I'm not gonna lie. I just think trying to fight people isn't doing yourself any favors. You shouldn't mess with them, though. Either way, I can confirm that overall gambling is a bad idea. The house always wins. I know a lot of people swear they're experts at beating the casino and they got the secret sauce and all that, but I can confirm if you actually are able to beat the casinos and make them lose a bunch of money, they'll just ban you. Casinos are out to make money for themselves. They're not out here to make everybody rich. I'm not saying people haven't gotten insanely lucky. Like, obviously, some people have won the lottery too. I'm just saying, like, if this guy turned $500 into $16K, clearly people can make some money. But the idea that someone can just always win at gambling, I don't think so, dude. The house always eventually wins, and there's no shame in, like, walking away and keeping your money. If you ever manage to turn $500 into $16,000, that's nuts. You just walk out of the casino, okay? They're gonna be like, do you want it? Nope. Okay, do you want a free room? Nope. You say no. You just walk out. Because if you stay, you're gonna, oh, I'll just spend a little money. No. Just leave. If you're up that big, you just walk out. I love that he broke his laptop, too. His parents weren't down to buy him a new one. He probably thought by the time he got home, like, one would already be on the way, but his parents were probably too upset to be on a replacement laptop duty. Like, what did you want him to do? Oh, so on top of stealing your dad's identity and using it to make a gambling account and losing a bunch of money, you then destroyed your laptop in front of everyone at school and expect a new one? Go to your room, young man. You have the rest of your suspension to think about how stupid of a question that was. Either way, guys, I thought this story would be one that you guys would find entertaining. If you did find it entertaining, I'd appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. Great way to get a discount on G Fuel. Other than that, two more things that I gotta plug. You can go ahead and check out these story times on Spotify after they're posted here. I'll put that link in the top of the description, but feel free to go give them a listen if you want to watch without gameplay or offline, whatever floats your boat. Or, of course, you could go ahead and get yourself some of the merch. It is the coolest merch to ever exist. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but that link's also in the description. And, yeah, on that note, guys, I think that's gonna do it. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you made it this far, please go ahead and comment the word banana down below, and don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.